people always have some reservations about any sort of screening, right? It doesn't matter how passive you tell them, right? And one of the things, it says on the spec sheet here for the product is it's safe for anybody who's got like a surgical implant or, people who are pregnant, because that's always a big problem, that you run into with like the hand wands or the other things. People are like, oh, wait a minute, I got a pacemaker, I can't go through that. It's like, no, it's okay. No, I don't want to do, and they freak out. So,
Right.
how, not just for the people that maybe have like an implant or something like that, but I guess overall, how do people get comfortable with yet another sort of screening device, when they see it? I mean, if they don't see it, they don't know about it. Okay, no harm done. They don't see anything. But when they have something like this, to somebody, I mean, it looks pretty, innocuous, right? But to somebody's gonna be like, "Ooh, that's intimidating. I don't want to go near that. I don't want those waves going through my body." So how do we get people more comfortable with I guess that part of screening overall?
Well, it's a great question. In my experience, people generally get annoyed with any kind of screening, right? It's a necessary evil. It's an inconvenience. And what's even more annoying is when they can see a screening operation and it's inefficient. So it's even slower than they think it needs to be. Our systems, and when you think about a system like the ProScreen 900 Plus, which we use at stadiums and schools and places with high throughput, our system accelerates the screening process, not decelerates. So whereas, as a frame of reference, the typical throughput per hour at an airport is 420 people, right? That's kind of what they shoot for. With our system, we are moving 3,000 to 3,500 people through.
That's unreal. That's unreal. Yeah. So you really can talk about inefficiency at airports then.
No doubt. And so how do people get used to it? They experience it and they go, wow, that's a lot easier than what I used to have to go through or what I've gone through at other facilities. And all of a sudden screening doesn't become this big, obtrusive, tenuous process. Yeah. Exactly. It is just something that I can just walk through and it's done and I'm good.
And I bet what else is interesting too is like, I know like with, for example, with like a hand scanner, right? I mean, I've done event security. I've used those things. Yeah. It's funny when you see people start to come in the door and then they see the scanning going on and they turn around and they walk out because they know whatever they're carrying, whether it's a concealed weapon, a gun, a knife, or something they shouldn't be carrying in there, they see that. And so it has that deterrent. So I can see sort of two sides of this, right? You can have the actual deterrent where somebody is seeing it in action, right? I have something. I see other people being checked for what I'm trying to sneak in. I'm going to get caught if I don't turn around and leave, kind of thing, right? Then you have the other side of it, which is you've got this device completely maybe inside of a wall or, bolted to a wall or something like that. So it's kind of out of the way. You don't see it. And now everybody's kind of just walking through. Everything's going on. You've got something you think, oh man, it's going to be easy for me to sneak in this. And then all of a sudden, you're caught, right? Or an alarm goes off and now you're like, oh wow, what the heck's going on? And security descends on you, et cetera. So it's interesting, I think, to look at it from both sides, like the actual seeing the deterrence occurring versus not seeing anything until there's an issue.
Absolutely. And so we've designed, I should say, a system that can be used as for both overt and covert screening. So it's really up to the end user then to decide what they want to subject their patrons to, and what's going to be most effective. And I'll add a third piece to that. The third piece is now we're using a different technology which detects threats in a different way. And the best way to explain that is an example that we had at a correctional facility in California. We had an inmate who was being screened using our product, and he kept setting it off. And he'd take stuff out of his pockets, and he kept setting it off and kept setting it off. And they eventually had him down to his, boxers and flip-flops, and he kept setting it off. and they said, all right, you got something on you. The system doesn't lie. This is our CellSense Plus unit. And they finally took him down to medical imaging, and they found that he had 2 security drill bits in his stomach. Oh. And so they asked him, I said, what'd you do that for? And he said, well, I saw you come in and I just popped them in my mouth. And all the screws in correctional facilities have security heads, so that you need a special drill bit to unscrew them. Well, he had 2 of these things. And he said, I just popped them in my mouth because when you guys screen me with your hand wand, it never gets it. So whether they can see it or not is a big factor. But now we're detecting different things in a different way. So now that person walks in and says, well, maybe they're screening there, but I can usually get this gun through if I hide it in my coat, or if I hide it in my belt, or if I put it in my sock. And I can still get through a security checkpoint. You can't now with a system like ours.
So that's great.
That's a big piece of it.